one thing to note is that the type certification came in August 2021. So it is the scheme itself is relatively very new. And I don't know about the manpower at DGCA, but yes, the process, if you look at the time where every other drone is company is applying and when they're actually getting the type certificate, it's not exactly in 60 days, in 2 3 months that they claim, right? It does take a lot of time because there's always a back and forth.
Greetings to all the listeners and viewers around the world. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of All Things Drone by Drone Gyan and Udan Aviation Academy. The topic for today's podcast is something which is very niche within the drone sector. It is all about knowing in and around what is type certification and everything around it. Now, to make this episode look glamorous, I have got two young and exciting people from the world of drones. Our first guest is Miss Akshata, who is the ambassador at PX4, a person who is known for her thoughtful blogs about the world of drones. Secondly, we have with us Mr. Shivnnadan. Now, he has been quite humble and requested me to keep the introduction to himself as design enthusiast. But trust me, Shiv is more than this. Okay. So, without any further ado, let's take a deep dive into the world of type certification in drones. Akshata, Shivnandan, welcome to our podcast episode. How are you guys today?
All well, thanks for having us.
It's all been good.
Thank you, Akshata and Shiv, for being with us. Now, when you think about careers in drones, the people that I've met so far, you know, everyone was in the field of drone not by choice but by destiny. So destiny has taken them into the world of drones. I equally wanted to understand, Akshata and Shiv, what has been your journey into the world of drone? What was that eureka moment that, okay, this is my bread and butter from now going forward? And I think I'll start with Akshata. So Akshata, what has been your journey into the world of drones?
So I think my journey started from my second year of engineering, um, and I did mechanical engineering, right? So in my first year, I was part of this rocketry team. So I was interested in both aerospace and robotics,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when and our college did not exactly have a aerial robotics team. So I started one, and that was pretty much the beginning of that eureka moment. And was a edge where both aerospace, a little bit of that, and robotics was involved, was where drones kind of gave me that edge.
Right.
So it started from 2019 and it's been going well ever since. That's how I exactly started.
Right, perfect, brilliant. So I think it's all about from the love of mechanics, the love of rocketry, and finding an amalgam of that in drones, and that's how you're proceeding. Perfect. Shiv, brother, what's your journey, man, in the world of drones?
So, I am an automobile engineer by profession, my degree. And during my college years, I was into development of Formula Student cars and was very petrol head kind of person.
Uh-huh.
Too much into it. And since I started work with automobile companies, and my focus was always in terms of design as a product, not as in the industry.
Hmm.
So after working in automobile industry for 1.5 years, working with a couple of other clients, I was just searching for a startup which is keen on developing core products.
Okay.
That's where I joined my first startup in drones industry, and it has been really awesome. Like there's a lot to put since the industry is very new and young.
Hmm.
Uh, we get to carry on a lot of things, standards, certification processes from different core departments, like such as aircraft industry or
Hmm.
automobile industry. Those are well known from really long time.
Right.
So I am just finding myself implementing a lot of core things that I learned and
Hmm.
working with different industries, and yeah, finding new ideas, creativity. That's what is going on.
That's what is going on. Typical engineer. Okay.
Yeah.
Finding your finding your way in, finding problem statement, trying to solve that and making a living out of it. Excellent, excellent. Both of you, Akshata and Shiv. I think engineering is considered to be one of the cliched professions. Okay. and everyone has got the standard template कि कुछ भी हो जाए आईटी में जाके ही करना है कुछ ना तो कुछ. I have seen mechanical civil guys, taking that path, upskilling themselves and taking that path. But kudos to both of you. I mean, you guys have taken a path that has not only given you room to grow, but I think it has also enabled the industry to grow as a whole. And I think you are collectively a part of that growth story. Perfect. Now, guys, you know, people within the drone fraternity or in general as well are puzzled with this sound called as type certification. Okay, and many of our listeners out here are person who just have got a drone and then they just fly it. Okay, they don't know anything about type certification. So if you want to explain type certification to, let's say, a young engineer or a 12th pass out, what type certification of drones can be? And Shiv, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I would touch upon the engineering aspect of it,
Hmm.
like more from the technical side. So type certification you can understand as a exam for your technology.
Uh-huh.
Basically, once you have developed your product, it is into the sector where it is stable, it is airworthy. You'll have to basically pass an exam stating that your product certifies to um, perform as it is designed to.
Hmm.
So, for example, we have um, RI in automobile industry for India,
Hmm.
who decides what kind of product is it, but who decides whether it is a sellable product in the market in automobile industry.
Hmm.
Similarly, we have something for aircrafts. Type certification, or more or less, is a standard where you'll have to show that your product is safe, it's airworthy, as well as set up standards to follow ISO certification or maybe methods of ISO certification that
Hmm.
makes you a wholesome organization in short. Uh, by following processes, you're ensuring that quality is top notch. It does
Hmm.
not fail in terms of when it is flying there because it can harm someone. So
True.
all the government wants is that whatever product you are going to fly, trying to sell people, is
Hmm.
safe enough for anyone, any layman even to drive it. So it's just trying to make things easier for everyone. It's
Right.
the simplest thing I could say.
Perfect. And I think you have put it really well. It's actually a test of that particular product as per government standards, as per government guidelines, so that the product is ultimately a good product market fit as per the government norms and conditions. Well
Yeah.
explained, Shiv. Akshata, your thoughts on what is type certification? I'm sure you have written a lot of blogs on it, but then what is your take on this?
So I think I'll give a government's perspective.
Mhm.
It's so if you read the entire type certification, right, as even Shiv mentioned, it is really revolving around certifying your product for a particular requirements,
Hmm.
and obviously also promoting made in India
Hmm.
indigenous products, right? And all of it is because we want to promote safety, and also ensure that all of these you so basically you pass this statement of conformity, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that makes sure that your particular type of unmanned aerial vehicle is certified for these particular specifications. And the process is actually quite simple. You get all your design, all your once your prototype is production level ready, you submit this D1 form. And then there is stage one. We'll talk about that later. And then there's stage two. You pass those, and you finally get this type certification, right? So
Hmm.
this basically ensures that you've gone through certain sort of tests that have been recommended, and your
Hmm.
product meets a level of surety that hey, this works, it's reliable,
Hmm.
and it's definitely something that works.
Right, brilliant. I think Akshata, you mentioned about Make in India initiative, and I definitely feel what Akshata and Shiv, both of you have said. This type certification actually falls in line with the Make in India initiative of making things in India for the rest of the world. Okay, and type certification plays an essential quality parameter in sort of establishing that to an international standard. So Thanks, Akshata, for bringing that point. I think overall, if you look at type certification, from what I understand from both of your conversation, it's a win-win for everyone. Okay, I mean the organizations who put R&D into it, the government who are pushing, Make in India initiative. So if the bureaucracy and the private organizations are both happy at the end of the day, it will ultimately blossom our country's economy. So I think very well put, both of you, Akshata and Shiv. Right. So, guys, since you guys are the ones who know a lot about type certifications, there are people like me and other individuals who approach you about their type certification queries. Okay. And taking a bird's eye view out here, and I'll start with Akshata, you. I just wanted to understand what are those couple of common questions that people approach you with. That Akshata, यार ये type certification में ये क्या होता है, वो type certification में वो क्या होता है. Okay, could you like give us, let's say, three common questions what people generally approach Akshata with when it comes to type certification?
Um, So, actually, there are so many questions, but
Hmm.
even before I answer or give a few, government has actually on the QCI's website, there's this FAQ section.
Uh-huh.
They have already listed out these very common questions that, and in fact, there are questions that have been repetitive and they've also given the same answer,
Hmm.
out of which I feel personally I have been asked this one particular question again and again, that hey, if I submit my documents, if I say this particular value or some particular documentation, would I be able to change it? Would I be able to make
Hmm.
modification? And especially it comes under payloads, because we are always payloads is something very application based, right? So if
Right.
tomorrow my client wants something else, I would just change a payload if that fits the design.
Hmm.
So simple answer, yes. But obviously you would have to keep the certification body informed.
Hmm.
And if your initial agreement of the stage one has already been completed, the procedure is quite simple, that keep the certification body involved. And if you're still under the process, you can always make changes, because
Hmm.
we all understand that the design is under development, and they can always be either, let's say, if you're doing the number of permissible landings clause
Hmm.
and you claimed a particular number. But then while testing and doing more rigorous flight tests, you realize that, hey, I can go even further. Then why not, right?
Right.
If you have a reasonable understanding, then you can always make modifications. So it's not set in stone. And
Hmm.
even after the certification, you need to inform the certification body. At the end,
Hmm.
always consult with them.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
another thing about the formatting, because the moment you format all your documents,
Hmm.
one thing is to keep in mind is have all of them look very similar. Like if
Hmm.
one looks in a particular formatting and the other one looks different, it's also difficult for the reader to grasp what you're saying, right?
Hmm.
So keep the formatting same. And secondly, a chunk of what is expected in the documents is already given in one of the FAQs. I think
Hmm.
at the end of it,
Right.
that you should have your date, what is the test criteria, what are you doing, or what is the conclusion, things like that. It's already mentioned. So
Hmm.
a lot of things have been clarified by QCI itself. So keep tabs on that.
Right. Brilliant. Brilliant, Akshata. And I think the point that you referred about FAQ, um, I'm proud to sort of say this to all the audiences out here. Akshata is someone who talks drone, walks drone, laughs drones. Okay. And one of the special initiatives that Akshata has taken for type certification is that she has created this WhatsApp group on anything and everything about type certification. Be a part of that WhatsApp group. I have been a part of it for the last 90 days. And trust me, it's a very good open ended ecosystem whereby anyone who has got any doubts related to type certification, they just put it. And then there are a bunch of professionals out there who just reply to that particular query. So, yes, you have got your QCI, FAQs, and all of that to look into. But WhatsApp becomes much more handy these days to sort of put your query and get answered to. So I think brilliant, Akshata, on that initiative of creating this open source kind of aura around that WhatsApp group where people like amateur professionals like us could sort of know more about type certification. Brilliant, Akshata. Shiv, I mean, I want you to wear your technical hat and the questions that people generally ask you about type certification. What are those common questions that people bombard you?
So one major sector that everyone usually hits is carbon fiber composites.
Hmm,
Since drones, air drones specifically, are very prone to subjected to weight restrictions, so we cannot have a lot of
hmm,
weight flying with the drone. It reduces your endurance as well
hmm,
as your flight dynamics. So
hmm,
using carbon fiber is kind of a no-brainer. That's the only
hmm,
solution that you have. Next is aluminum, which again has its own cons and pros.
hmm,
So one question that I've been asked a lot of times, that how to prove fatigue life cycle of the component which is made
hmm,
out of carbon fiber, maybe in-house or maybe outsourced from somewhere else.
hmm, hmm,
So, my understanding and whatever research I have done so far, I understand that it is not possible for us to predict life cycle of carbon fiber right now. It is very unpredictable, fails at random moments, and that's the
hmm,
reason aerospace industry is still not using it in their core
hmm.
components.
Right.
Um, the best possible outcome would be to create a list of documents that you have gone through to understand how life cycle
Hmm,
testing is done, particular life analysis, and present it to the third party inspector, so that
hmm,
they can understand that we have done our sort of research, and also you can present them with maximum loading capacity. So I would just give an example of what I did before. So we in my previous organization we were using carbon fiber chassis. So the
hmm,
overall structure was made of carbon fiber. We had the same difficulty where the personnel was not ready to accept that fatigue life analysis is not possible.
hmm,
Um, it just happens to be that he was also part of HL Composites division before, so
hmm,
he had a good knack of and like good understanding of how composites actually work and behave.
hmm,
So I we listed him with a couple of references, research papers, publications, which stated that it is not predictable to have a fatigue life cycle of composites.
hmm,
And with that we also presented them that our structure was well versed above like FOS of 2. FOS is factor of safety 2, and
hmm,
the load it is carrying right now, it is way beyond our limits, so it is not going to fail anytime soon. So in
hmm,
fatigue life cycle you usually require the tensile strength to the stress to have below one third of that,
hmm.
the actual ultimate strength. And since our structure was way beyond below that, it was like kind of it just passed that test.
Right.
So, to a lot of listeners who will be hearing to this, I'd say do your research, understand what components are part of your structure. A lot of times, your landing gear also happens to be part of the structure itself. You
Hmm,
can refer to design guidelines for aircrafts. Maybe you can refer that as well. Um, and that should work out for you. If you have any further questions, you can always approach me, Akshata, or anyone else in the industry who have already gone through the process. This is
right.
one of. Other
Hmm,
than that, a lot of questions regarding 3D printing as well, because since the industry is new, it cannot bear the cost of conventional prototyping or production, which is injection molding for plastics in general,
hmm,
or we have now vacuum casting in place. 3D printing is something that is very uh, unpredictable right now, because we don't have proper FEA tools to simulate how they are going to behave in the end product. And
hmm,
to some extent, the technology itself is very dynamic. It
hmm,
like if you are printing it using FDM, or maybe FDM is a very basic for prototyping. And suppose even if you are going for MJF printing or SLS, you still have a lot of knack into how the powder has been put, how it has been sintered. So 3D printing, I would say you can do maybe a token check, create a part, dog one specimen, get it tested on different directions, because it is ortho isotropic. So you'll have
hmm,
different results in different sections. Doing that would have you enough information to show it to the third party inspector and get them approved. Yeah, well, these are the few things. Also, always keep ISO documentations on your part because they will be asking it. Certification is not necessary, but the process is. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Right. Okay. Um, Brilliant, brilliant, Shiv, for that. Shiv, thank you for those wonderful insights. Particularly, you talked about the structure and you sort of enhanced that to very good extent on what one should look after that. There's this one question which one of our learners, Anusha, she just texted me yesterday. She is someone who is now looking to design drones by herself, and she is a first year, aerospace engineering student. um, uh, so, what type of softwares do you feel young professionals should get their hands on for the design and development of, let's say, drones or prototyping? Let's say. So, what are those uh, top softwares that you feel that young professionals should embrace early on in their career so that they could have a good career within this particular sector?
Um, so this is very dependent on the industry. So
Hmm.
if you're looking at fixed wings, you
Hmm.
probably should go along with Katia because it has really
Hmm.
good surfacing tools.
Hmm.
If you're looking for quadcopters in general, you could go away with SolidWorks or
Hmm.
Fusion 360. I would still prefer SolidWorks because of its assembly superiority.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but in general, start with SolidWorks if you're in quadcopters. If you are into like fixed wings, go for
Hmm.
Katia.
Hmm.
In terms of FE analysis, you can always look out for ANSYS. Probably all the colleges will have educational licenses, which
Hmm.
students can directly avail.
Right.
Um, Along with this, for systems also you can use FEA, yeah, from ANSYS or maybe integrated version of SolidWorks.
Right.
Terms of prototyping and 3D printing, you can use any slicer which is available in the market. Prusa is one of the advanced ones. You can
Hmm.
always learn it, but it has a really steep learning curve. So I
Hmm.
would still ask you to go through like maybe Cura or some other 3D printing
Hmm.
software that is available in the market. So a lot of slicers they do really good job, but
Hmm.
as you progress further, you'll have to go to advanced tools like Prusa or maybe something else. I'm aware of Prusa. It's really awesome.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks for that, Shiv. I think Anusha has got bunch of softwares that she could study for the next 12 months to 18 months, and I'm sure over a period of time, things will get better. So thanks for that, Shiv. Wonderful insights out here, guys. I think you guys have hit the nail when it comes to those common questions. Not only macro level thoughts which Akshata put out, but Shiv, the micro level thoughts that you give around the structure of type certification. I think that's quite unique. um, See, every coin has got two sides. Okay, so there are people who are talking good about it. There are people who are talking not so good about it. Okay, and there are a lot of myths in the market for type certifications. Okay, and I'm sure you guys have equally heard those myths around you. So, what are those common myths that surround type certification? And if there is that one myth that you would like to clear the air on, what would that myth be? Shiv, do you want to go first?
I believe Akshata has really good insight on this. I would
So
ask her to.
there you go, Akshata. Yeah.
Um, I think type certification. One myth is that it you need type certification for every single drone. That's
Hmm.
not true. Nano is exempted, and you
Hmm.
don't exactly need a type certification if you're just doing research. There
Hmm.
are some exemptions according to the drone rules 2021.
Hmm.
So be sure you know your rules and what the regulations are. Not all of them are included.
Hmm.
Uh, and there are so many. Another thing is that uh, the first drone that was type certified, if I'm not wrong, it was IoT aviation, which is about in under 30 to 40 days
Hmm.
of their application time.
Hmm.
And I do not feel that currently. See, one thing to note is that the type certification came in August 2021. So it is
Hmm.
the scheme itself is relatively very new. And
Hmm.
I don't know about the manpower at DGCA, but yes, the process, if you look at the time where every other drone is company is applying and when they're actually getting the type certificate, it's not exactly in 60 days, in 2 3
Hmm.
months that they claim, right? It does take a lot of time,
Hmm.
because there's always a back and forth if there's something that you're not compliant to, or if there's something you need to change. So don't feel that okay, my prototype is ready. I would just give in my design documents and it'll be done in like 60 days, 1 or 2 months, right? It is going to take time.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's not impossible. I'm just
Hmm.
saying that be prepared for the fact that this is not. Don't claim the fact that if you have if you're getting your milestones ready, if you're doing a timeline or creating a roadmap, don't just put 2 months for type certification.
Hmm.
Will take its own sweet time, and and it is also valid to give it that much attention, right?
Right.
Because it is an important thing. uh, Going ahead, your clients, your tenders to be even valid and justified in the tenders, you are going to require it. So it's an
Hmm. Hmm.
important step. Take it, give it enough time, and don't
Hmm.
think it's going to be completed in 2 months.
Right.
It's
Brilliant.
likely it's going to take time.
Absolutely. And this is a technical procedure at the end, is what I believe. So I mean, since all the technical parameters, I assume, if not fulfilled, then there is no type certification. So everything will have its own due course of time. Thanks for clearing some air around that, Akshata. Um, there is one common question that people generally ask me, and I won't label it as a myth, but this is a sort of a thought which people generally come up with, is that, see, I'm an individual. I I am an engineer. I know how to build a drone, but I don't know the nitty-gritties of how to do type certification. So, do I need a consultant at the end of the day to do my type certification? Or as an organization, can I do type certification at my own will? Uh, Having a consultant, does that make the life much more easier, or doesn't make any difference? Is it worth investing into a consultant within the type certification process? I mean, I'm just wanted to hear your views on this. So, anyone, would you sort of like to go first? Yeah.
Okay.
Akshata.
Okay. Again, I'll go back to emphasizing the fact that type certification came into play just 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, and there are, I think, to my knowledge, there are about 26 certified drones to last time I checked.
Hmm.
And first of all, go read the type certification scheme yourself. I
Hmm.
know it's long. I know it's really, really, sometimes it's difficult to understand. Read it again. Nobody's expecting you to understand the certification in a day, in a week. Take your own sweet time. Read it yourself first.
Hmm.
Obviously, your organization must be departmentalized, and let the experts understand it. Do
Hmm.
not get a consultant right away.
Hmm.
Uh, First, understand it on your own, and that's where you would know where are your gaps
Hmm.
and where what are the things that you really are not sure of.
Okay.
And honestly, I would answer your question, very simply as it really depends.
Hmm.
One thing is, if your entire design level, your development is extremely chaotic, you're halfway there, and now you realized, okay, no, I'm taking the decision of doing the type certification.
Hmm.
Then, and you guys were not, while doing the designing,
Hmm.
because you're halfway through, you were not aware of some of the clauses, and now you're having to make some changes,
Hmm.
right? If it's all into a chaos, then you could.
Hmm.
But if you're well aware of the entire process, you have specific questions. There's
Hmm.
always QCI to consult. There's always a certification body to consult. They've got their FAQs. We have our WhatsApp group. All of that is there.
Hmm.
But even after that, if you're facing challenges, then yes,
Hmm.
consultants could be a way through. But I feel that every drone company has a good enough technical team.
Hmm.
Trust them
Hmm.
and try to understand what questions they have and
Right.
solve those questions. And I feel because the assumption obviously is that you know your design and development the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the procedure, yes, a consultant could help,
Mm-hmm.
but let the technical team always be responsible and
Right.
aware of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Let the consultant be there for easing out what the understanding is. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
as engineers, there's no one particular solution, or a statement could mean different to you, it could mean
Mm-hmm.
different to me. But the technical requirement of the government is always going to be the same. Keeping safety in mind, uh, in some cases, yes, in some cases, no. Don't go for a consultant right away. There's
Mm-hmm.
always the certification body, QCI, and like I said.
Right. Brilliant. I think well put out there, Akshata. I think uh, you should get a feel of the process by yourself. Start exploring through self. Trust your team, trust your engineers, and see how far you could go. And then you have got government mechanisms in place. You have got QCI and everything. And if beyond that, if things don't work out, or if you feel you are stuck, then obviously a consultant may make a difference. But then again, that initial start should be a self start and self understanding journey, so that it gives you more control over a period of time. Rightly said, Akshata. Shiv, your thoughts here?
So I would go along the lines with Akshata. So
Mm-hmm.
from my perspective on technical end, I would say it is very important that you go through the journey by yourself, because in this journey you're going to learn a lot of things that you should not do. Um, One in particular, I would say, if a consultant is there, he would tell you exactly what to do, and you would miss out on the points that you shouldn't be doing in general as an engineer, as an organization. I'll take an example of ISO certification once more. So it is not necessary for a drawn organization to get type certification, but at the same time, they should follow the type ISO certification regulations. So if you're going through a consultant, probably he'll ask you to develop the documents, probably give you the templates, but you'll never know how to use it, because one general misconception is that the template works for every organization as the same, but it is not. Person history control works different in different organizations. The level of organization also defines how the product is going to settle itself in the type certification industry. How long is it going to take? Consultant, I would say, if you are having a lot of problems in the last stages where you have done all the groundwork, then it could help, because if you take it from the very get go, the groundwork actually breaks down to a really small pieces, which is not good for the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I would say consultant in the last stages, final stages. Maybe you can have a consultant as an engineer to help you out here and there in terms of figuring out what is important, what is not. Because in material testing also, people are not aware of what ISO, like ISO method or ASTM method to use. They are like completely airhead into that. So probably those things they can help you figure out why it is important, what is important, but get your hands dirty and get things done. That's what I would say.
Brilliant, brilliant. Again, Shiv, excellent thoughts on this. So I think be a self-starter in this journey of type certification. That self-understanding is extremely important, or else, I mean, you may not learn things of when things go wrong and how to handle those. So it's
Yeah.
important to know both sides, what are right and what are wrong as well, right? Brilliant, guys, out here, wonderful. And I believe both of you are equally approachable when it comes to questions around type certification. So what I'll do is I will post your LinkedIn links in the sort of the description section of this podcast, and our viewers could get in touch with you in accordance to their thoughts on type certification. I think both of you are extremely approachable, according to me, and both of you have got that fire in you to help other people to grow within this domain of drones. And I think with this willpower, you came for taking or being part of this podcast as well. So thank you so much for that as well, Akshata and Shiv. Brilliant. Right. Now, I have bored all of you enough with a lot of technical questions. Okay, let's move on to the final section of today's podcast, which is rapid fire round. Okay. Now, what I'm looking for is simple, jolly answers out here. Okay. Whatever is, speak your heart out. Okay. So my first rapid fire question goes to Shiv. Uh, Shiv, do you like building drones or do you like flying drones?
I've been more like a builder. I like
Uh-huh.
working in the background where the
Uh-huh.
noise comes from somewhere else. So,
Right.
well, from the very beginning, I've been a person who is very keen on solving problems. Like it just
Hmm.
ignites me, such
Hmm.
as type certification. It's a hectic process, but it is really fun. It in a very
Hmm.
short amount of time brings it teaches you so much because during my
Hmm.
process as well, this was the first time me working in drone industry. I've
Hmm.
worked in for like RI and ICAT in automobile
Hmm.
industry, and their process is like it's very twisty and very hectic. And since
Hmm.
drone industry is still flourishing, it is still coming up with new regulations to make it more safer, the products to be
Hmm.
more stable. I would say it is a fun journey, and I really like it personally. And I believe everyone else who will go through it properly will enjoy it. You'll meet a lot of people, great people, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's a whole sector of really good enthusiastic people. Especially I've seen
Right.
drone industry people are really enthusiastic about the product because
Hmm.
it has come from being a hobby to being a product. So
Right.
that's really awesome, I would say. So
Right.
not
Brilliant.
like pilot,
Not
but
into flying, but more into
yeah,
building.
so
And I think,
I really enjoy watching it to
uh,
understand how it is, whatever I design, how is it working.
right, brilliant. And I think you talking, so much from your heart about building drones, it speaks volume about you that yes, you are someone who likes solving problems and you like building stuff. So no second thoughts on that. Akshata, flying or building drones?
Flying, obviously. Because even the first time I built my own developer kit,
Hmm,
which is greatly sponsored by PX4 and Holybro,
hmm, hmm,
the roar that you hear, right, when it
hmm.
takes off, is the kick that you get because of your passion. And that's
Right.
why I love flying.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think we have got, a designer, a flyer out here. We have got the complete package. Brilliant. Now I will all put you into a bit of spot out here. So I'll start with Akshata. Akshata, what is your favorite drone in the market?
I don't want to say DJI,
Okay.
but then I have to say DJI.
Okay, brilliant.
The
Particularly
latest
DJI,
Mavic
which one?
3.
Mavic 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
Mavic.
I was writing a blog about Mavic 3 for Women Who Drone.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually a really tough choice to write about Mavic 3 and the latest FPV that they have, right?
Hmm,
So we
hmm,
wrote a blog about both of them,
hmm.
but I think I'd go with Mavic 3.
Mavic 3. There you go. Brilliant. Shiv?
Mm, I'm very open to technology. I do like DJI, how they have built the drone in
Mhm,
terms of design, aesthetics,
mhm,
user interface.
mhm,
But I would say there are a lot of other players in the market who are not maybe marketing their product well.
mhm,
But yeah, Parrot is one of them,
mhm,
and I believe all in all, a lot of good drones are there. It's just the user interface is playing a very major role, I believe.
mhm. Right, brilliant. Shiv, have you thought of an alternate career as a politician? Because the way diplomatically you gave this answer, I think it suited really well. Right, brilliant, brilliant. Um, so, Shiv, starting with you, what is your favorite drone application? That okay, this is the application which drones they give their maximum efficiency and output. So, what is your favorite drone application?
Reconnaissance kind of missions.
Reconnaissance missions.
Yeah, because I believe uh, like technology should excel in multiple fields, and
Mm,
my field being make a really good product, I
mm,
would suggest the product does more than what it is designed for, rather than like so the drones have multiple applications such as surveillance survey. You can
mm,
have it in borders, property
mm,
surveillance. Reconnaissance saves lives and also makes things easier for everyone else.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
is something I would always want to design something like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
long way to go.
Long way to go. Brilliant. Akshata, your favorite drone application?
I think I would go back to basics, photography and
Hmm.
videography,
Hmm.
uh, because it plays such a vital role. I've been since the time that I wouldn't say I am that young, but
Hmm.
during my engineering, it wasn't as in news as much as it is today. But
Hmm.
photography and videography already was an application which is really well known, right?
Hmm.
To the extent that I've seen it in the Tom and Jerry movie as a short.
Hmm.
So yes, videography and photography is something that I feel is the best.
Right, brilliant. And my personal fascination out here as well was this National Geography show on
Yeah,
India through the sky. Okay, and I think the
yeah,
drone shots is what which become a common sort of discussion around the family home कि यार ये कैसे ये shots ले रहे. Okay, and then obviously the world of drones and cinematography came into existence. So yeah, I mean it shows a lot of what is unseen. So that's a very good application across both the areas. My final question to you guys, okay, and Akshata, I'll start with you. Um, if not drones, if Akshata was not into drones, then what Akshata would have been doing?
I would have been a full-time author of a really best-selling book.
Brilliant, brilliant. So author it is. Shiv?
Uh, so yeah, as I said very early, I am not like industry centric person.
Mm-hmm,
I'm more like product centric person.
mm-hmm,
So I would be into designing, conceptualizing, maybe industrial design.
mm-hmm,
But I am really keen into designing. So I don't see it as mechanical or CAD. I see it
mm-hmm,
as part of something really big. So I believe that the design is the language of everything.
mm-hmm.
Maybe you
Right.
can call it as universe.
Brilliant. And I think both of you, demonstrate a lot of creativity in your answers as well. So when Akshata mentioned about being an author, creative space. Shiv mentioned about designing, again, creative space. And such are individuals you are. And it has been lovely journey talking to both of you for over the weeks that we have been in touch. And one thing to all the viewers out here, both of these guys are extremely accessible. Okay, and both of these guys are extremely, you could reach out to them in a not so corporate way. Okay, you don't have to write them flashy lines. You don't have to write them, "Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. How are you doing? I need so and so from you." Just speak your heart out, and I think these guys are there for you. So when it comes to type certification, quote unquote guru, um, Akshata and Shiv are your go-to choices. Perfect.
And
Thank
also
you so
not
much.
100
Yes.
to 200 words chat GPT copy pasted in mails. I cannot read them all. Hey, I need help would be also enough.
Perfect. Hey, I need help. There you go. Perfect. Thank you
Um,
so much, Akshata and Shiv. Yeah, Shiv, please go ahead. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I would like to touch down into one more technical aspect of it, which
Uh-huh.
is like a lot of times people miss out
Hmm.
because the drone industry, since I said the drone industry is young, people who are building the drones are young people. They don't know the standards or maybe how to develop things
Hmm.
in a particular manner.
Hmm.
So design history is something that they should always be aware of, because
Hmm.
if you don't have design history and you are into second stage of inspection, they could just write it off stating that your product is not stable because you have not done proper research.
Hmm.
So make a proper design versioning system, create a history.
Hmm.
Not, I will not say create a history, maintain the history.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Right.
people will be asking you questions regarding what you have done, from where you came, and what is your product right now. So this
Right.
is one key aspect of it they have to keep noted always.
Right. Brilliant. And thanks for that final take on that, Shiv. I think this is extremely important for everyone to know that yes, type certification at the end is quite a technical journey that you all need to overcome. And sort of the devil lies in the details. So the more focused you are across those elements, the better your type certification journey will be. So with that, Let's end today's podcast. Thank you so much, Akshata and Shiv, for taking out your time and being a part of this journey. There is so much that we have got in place for all the viewers going forward. Watch out for us in coming future to know more about the other areas of drones as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Akshata.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.